Boxer. Oops. I changed my name to Spiritual Boxer. My old school name is Truth and Integrity Warrior. I'm going now by Spiritual Boxer because I'm coming out throwing punches in, I guess you'd say, the invisible realm, right? The realm we can't see. And what we can't see, we don't believe. I get it. But I'm going to make it where we understand that the subatomical is the invisible. Meaning, if we can't see it, it don't mean don't believe it. It just means we need some data to back it up. And I'm going to show that data to back it up. Right? And it's not done by throwing it on the table because you can't see it. So the evidence doesn't work the same. It has to be repetitious, right? You see a pattern, and that pattern shows that there's something there. Like our network. You can't throw a network on the table to prove it, but you can with repetitive actions happening over and over again that we have evidence of something that is unseen is there. Like the networks on our phones, right? On our computer systems. So if you don't believe in the unseen, that means you don't believe in your phone and its capabilities, right? All right, let me back it up a little bit. Again, Michelle Angelique, Spiritual Boxer. Today is May 14th, 2025. I couldn't come up with a name of what I'm going to be calling today because there's so much data, I almost don't know where to begin, right? I almost don't know where to begin. So I'm going to tell more of, I'm just going to try to piece this together as we go. I told you guys in my last video that I was going to start downloading the files, PDF files of this one is the Gospel of Thomas, which again is public domain. That one cost me about $7 and change at Staples to print it out. And then this one right here, I got the PDF, also public domain, the Secret Book of James. Do not get that confused for any other book of James. This is the Secret Book of James. These two books, the Gospel of Thomas and the Secret Book of James, I've been through them and they are legit. Not because I say so, is the words speak clarity. They are in a form and format where it's consistent. There's no piecing together of thoughts and feelings put onto paper. They're concise. And they sound like Yeshua's way. You have to read them for yourself to hear it for yourself, right? And then we got to get out of the Canaanite mentality of what is Catholicism and Christianity, because it is an ancient way of thinking. And we got to break away the chains that bind our mind from being able to lose the fear to look outside the box. We're littered with fear and think we break away from Yeshua's way if we look outside when he says, keep pushing, keep looking and seeking for the truth. You will find it. All right, I don't want to get too much off topic. Again, when I say off topic, I almost went into something right there. I caught myself. So this one was about the Secret Book of James. Cost me about $12 and change. So altogether, under $20, a little over $20, right? To get these copied and printed out, which I'm going to make a book of my own, because there's no books out there that have just Yeshua's way and his two brothers, James and Thomas. The reason it's important is we got to get back on track to the faith of the Holy Spirit. And for those of you who are not religious and need technical terms, it's back to basics of whole, balanced completeness, because we're all over the place. We're a mess as a society, as a species, and we got to get back on track where we're working together instead of against one another. Okay, I wanted to put a lot of things together, and I got it right here written down how I'm going to piece what I'm going to talk about tonight. It's going to be some of my own personal testimony to know how the enemy works, right? You got to know the enemy to understand how it's working, so you know how it's being used against how it's being used against us. If you don't know yourself, you can't know your enemy, because you are your biggest enemy. We are our biggest enemy. And once we can break through our own fears of what we don't want to face, what we don't want to look at, what we don't want to hear today, what we don't want to know, that's us running away from ourselves, of buried shit in our emotion that we run from, right? But when we take it on and we become that buffalo who runs through the storm is done. It's no longer chasing our ass. It's no longer coming to get us. We went through the storm. So going through your own storm is facing yourself. And once you face yourself, you face your biggest enemy. And that is to know thyself. How am I going to know myself? Is face my fears. When people tell me something that triggers and a fucking annoyance, what do I got to see about myself instead of running away or blaming that motherfucker for opening his mouth and irritating me? Let me get irritated. Let me see the depths of me. Let me know about me, right? It took a narcissist to break my heart and shatter it so bad that I had nothing left but to look at all the pieces of me, of my childhood and my abandonment. At childhood, I didn't even know happened, right? I didn't even know. Like, I had ideas, but I didn't know how far it went back, even from birth, right? From birth. So in that discovery of myself through a narcissist who shattered me, and I had to look at me instead of just blaming him for being such a piece of shit of a human being, right? Piece of shit of a human being. That human being don't mean he can't become better. It was just a piece of shit to me. It was a piece of shit to me. So I had to take that shit and remold it, restructure it, right? So that I can grow from it like manure. So when I say some good shit, it's because I'm going to grow from this motherfucker. I'm going to fucking grow. Because that's what manure does. You know, it's cow shit. It's horse shit. But it's shit we either grow from or we rot from. And I refuse to fucking rot. Because that's just how this world is structured. The system is set up so we fucking rot. And we hate one another. And we break each other down on fucking purpose. And the purpose is of this machine. I'm going to be saying this in every single one of my videos so people don't get lost days or fucking confused. We are in a machine. I state that because I know we are in a machine. No second fucking guessing. I'm not second guessing what I'm saying. And because we're in a machine and it lives off of quantum annealing, which is technical terminology for hitting the lowest point of vibration to power and generate power for itself. It uses us through pain and suffering for that quantum annealing to take effect, causing maximum suffering and pain on a continuous basis to power this machine that we're in, this machine reality that we're in. You have to watch other videos so that you can see what in depth. I'll post it here. It's my last video I did. Michael created before God was created. We're in a machine. Let me explain. That's the title of that video. I go more into depth about how I know what I know in no more detail. No respect to God the General, to Yeshua the Man who came to lead us and show us the way. I stand for Yeshua's way, and I'm here to make sure it runs through. When I say it runs through, it doesn't get broken down, because that's what we got going on. A bait and switch again. We had bait and switch when it was Baal going to Yahwehism, when Yahweh and Baal, doesn't matter if it's the same being or different beings, they're on the same team against mankind. And that's only for those who understand about Sumerian texts and ancient texts that biblical people want to have nothing to do with. But that's where the scriptures come from, is ancient time before Yeshua. Right? So Yeshua came to say, let me correct some stuff because you're being misled. Let me show you the way and how to behave in this machine reality. He didn't have to say machine reality. It's just the reality that we're in. And behavior is the key. We got to get this down to where we recognize that how we behave to ourselves, to our neighbors, is going to ripple in the effect, the cause and effect of the reality that we're in. This machine runs off of laws, codes, principles, and it has no choice but to operate within them. And once we recognize those operations, instead of it working against us, we're going to make sure to override this motherfucker, because I ain't got nothing nice to say about this machine reality that we're in. If anybody would like to understand what I'm talking about when I say machine reality, look up Cognify. You will see the new prison mind. Shouldn't say the prison mind. The new prison for the future that's right here. Right here, right now. And this Cognify puts a prisoner in there and he does 10 minutes like if he did 10 years, right? But what the mind goes through and how to shatter a mind is in a reality that is 100% real. And this is what we neglect to understand, is what the mind goes through, the soul goes through, even though it's not here in this physicality, but it's in that machine. The mind went through it, and the mind feels everything. And so when people say that we're not in a reality that exists, that it's not real, they lack the understanding of pain and suffering, because it's very real. And that's what Yeshua came to stop. The pain and suffering is fucking unnecessary, but that we continue to do with one another because we have internal hatred inside of ourselves from abuse as children. Legit. I mean, you all know what I'm talking about, who understand what I'm saying. If you didn't go through pain and suffering, that's a wonderful thing. This information is not going to relate to you. You're not going to understand what I'm saying, the words I'm saying. So, in these acts of Thomas, and let me get it, make sure I say it. The secret book of James and the Gospel of Thomas, right? I didn't get the rest because I can't afford it. I can only print out so much per paycheck. It's legit, it's real. I'm a regular common worker, you know. I gotta pinch my pennies and make them go as far as I can. And every paycheck, I'm just gonna go get another $20 worth of PDF files so I can put this book together. And I'll put down the books that I've been down and I know are Yeshua's way. That's the Gospel of Peace, James, the secret book of James, Thomas the Contender, the Acts of Thomas, and the Gospel of Thomas. I'm very sure of those because I went through them over and over again. I'm not saying there are no more. I'm saying those are the ones I want to work with because it's Yeshua, his way, in the Gospel of Peace, and then it breaks down into his two brothers. And if he has 12 disciples, let's just work with Yeshua's brothers to get us started before we start venturing out to what somebody knows about Yeshua 300 years later, and it's put into the Canaanites' version of Yeshua's way. Yeshua's in here. This right here is a playbook of how the enemy works. I cherish this book for many reasons. One, because Yeshua is in here. His disciples are in here. Yeshua's words are in here to prove that when I find Yeshua outside of here, it's undeniable. Right? So this book is vitally important to mankind because this is as close as we're going to get to the understanding of what it is to understand love, because there was no love before Yeshua came, and it's because Yeshua came that we understood, hey, you don't burn your babies alive, you don't do that, you don't marry your children, rape your children as babies, because that is what was being taught. I'll have to do other videos for that data to back that up. But the Talmud is with the Canaanites because they weren't even Jews back then. They didn't have the letter J when Yeshua was around. So how could they be Jews? So let's not get it confused for those people over there, right? But all religions are following the wrong way. And it's important we get back to basics. And that is getting back to the Holy Spirit. Whole, balance, completeness. We got to get back to that vibration of love. Love of compassion. Compassion of love. because evil loves as well. It loves to hate and corrupt and disrupt balance and making sure things are always out of order. It loves it. It loves to abuse children. It loves it. This machine loves abusing children. It loves it. So we must be attentive when we say love. The Holy Spirit is love. The Holy Spirit is the love of compassion, the compassion of love, because that is something these creature kind in this machine I call Canaanites, because it's a behavior of satanic behavior who worship Lucifer, that is this machine, that is male and female. It switches back to forth to whatever it wants to be. It presents itself as male or and female. Depends on the desires of the followers. And it witchcraft in its behavior. It practices witchcraft in its behavior to get favors from demonic entities that are alien entities that are outside of this field of reality, this file in this machine of reality. They get favors when they draw blood from innocence. That's how it works. It's a trade-off. I'm wrapping around what I wanted to present to you guys, because it's a lot. Let me get back over here to a main point. I want to get to Yeshua's words in Thomas the Contender and the Acts of Thomas. Then I'm going to go into a personal experience that I had in Mexico that shows that when somebody's life is taken that has done you wrong, it's not your justice, right? It wasn't my justice. It is the outcome of the inevitable because of his behavior. And when I say his behaviors, I'm going to tell you a story of something treasonous, traitorous, wrong, and the fool that did it to me. His outcome was inevitable because he's bound to meet and face someone just like him and worse to finish him, because that's what he's lined up with, because that's what he vibrates to. That's the channel he's on. That's the station he's on, right? That's where he vibrates at. That's where he calibrates. I'm using all these words so that we understand we're saying the same thing. This is a machine we're in, and it works off of frequencies. What the fuck are you tuned into? How do you really feel? You know, because you can think one thing, say another thing, and feel completely fucking different. And nobody knows it because you don't face yourself, right? You hide it from everyone else, and you hide it from yourself, and you don't even know it. I know, because it's what I lived. I didn't even know it till it was fucking smashed into my face, right? Smashed into my face. I said fate. I guess I was fated to feel that and learn the shit that I did, right? It's probably when we say something that we don't intend to say, and if it comes out, we gotta go back and look at it. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I was fated to fucking have this experience that crushed me. It destroyed every piece of me. It took me 3 years to get my shit back together. And when I say my shit, is re-identify myself, re-piece myself back together for the pieces that I became. Shattered pieces I became. And then the other thing I want to tell you is how I know these creature beings work like a military team, right? In another layer of reality, who are alien entities to those who need technical terms, and to those who are religious, they're demons, right? Because their behavior is demonic, it's vicious, it's wicked, and it's animal cruelty, animal-like. Let me change my words. Animal cruelty. When I say animal cruelty, I meant to say like a crocodile eats its own babies. It has no feeling inside to be nurturing or caring towards its young like we do, right? So when you take that species and you genetically combine it with mankind, you get a creature kind. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with chimeras who are alien entities posing as gods, known as angels, right? These are all real words I'm using. Because we have all the information with visuals that we've grown up with from the past, and we have to reset, reorganize, redo with the information and see it for what it is. Because we've been lied to, and we're still continuing to lie to ourselves because we don't want to face the storm. That's the reality of the bullshit we've been living for so long. Nobody ever likes to admit that they're living a lie or bullshit. I get it. But when it comes to what I'm doing right here, right now, on this channel, this is what I do. You don't like it, turn it off. It's that simple. In the Acts of Thomas, chapter 8, I'll be putting a link to the exact audio I'm talking about, right? We have at the 13:29 mark, that's the best part to begin so that you get context of what it leads up into. And that is where it's stating that the 12 tribes of Israel need to be judged. Period. The 12 tribes of Israel need to be judged because the 12 tribes of Israel, this is their book, so that they can claim land rights over the people, meaning us. Legal rights from a evil dominion. When I say evil, I'm talking about satanic behavior that's sadomasochistic to little children. Means rapes little children. I want to make sure you fucking understand what I'm saying. There's people out there who think evil means something cool, right? No, motherfucker. I'm talking hardcore shit that ain't right. And you better pay attention to what you accept and what you're a part of when you're satanic, when you're a witch, when you're Luciferian, and feel you're so fucking sophisticated. I'm going to expose individuals right where they stand just by showing the truth with words. No combat needed, but I ain't worried about combat. More likely, that is why I don't give a fuck, because I'm not afraid of combat. Not afraid of death either. That was a hard one. I'm going to put a video of how I had to overcome the fear of death. The fear of my family members dying. For me, speaking out, right? I did it back in 2022, I think, that video. I'm going to post it here so you can see and take a moment to acknowledge how I combated the fear of death so that I can push myself forward and get to where I'm at right now with these videos. When we lose the fear of death, we can face ourselves. We can face anybody. That's the challenge, right? That's the challenge. In here, the Gospel of Thomas, I'm only going to read the first 3 parts. I'll put a link also so that you can listen along to the audio. Saying 1, saying 2, and saying 3. I'm going to just go with those 3 right now, and that'll be it for this. Because I got to give this in sections, because too much is too much, and I don't want to lose no one's attention. And this has to do with the fear of death, right? The fear of facing yourself. Know thyself. Because once you know thyself, your enemy can't fuck you over. Can't persuade your mind. Because you've already beaten your mind. That's what Yeshua came to teach us. Beat your own mind. Don't be afraid. That's definitely something to fear. Because your soul feels like it fucking dies inside. And you got to recover. There is a real reason to be afraid. To face yourself, face your fears. But that's where the warrior comes out. That's where the warrior has to come out. Saying 1, true meaning. And he said, whoever discovers the meaning of these sayings won't taste death. Simply because when you lose the fear of death, you know your soul is eternal. And if you're not afraid here, you ain't going to be afraid when you die. Because you understand where you're going. Because it doesn't end when we die. We don't end when we die. Saying 2, seek and find. Jesus says here Jesus said, but the text back then they didn't have J. I'm always going to go with Yeshua. Yeshua said, whoever seeks shouldn't stop until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they're disturbed, they'll be amazed and reign over the all. Meaning, your mind will not be able to be broken. You will become, let me change my words, you become unbeatable when you know thyself. It's just a fact. When you know the truth all the way down to your core, you refuse to lie to yourself, and you can hear lies as they come to you. That way the enemy can't beat you with lies. Saying 3, seeking within. And this is the part, right? This is the part where you got to know thyself. Yeshua says, if your leader, look, the kingdom is in heaven, then the birds of heaven will precede you. If they tell you it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is within you and outside of you. It's the Holy Spirit. It's everywhere. Let me not add conjecture. I apologize. It ends with, the kingdom is within you and outside of you. When you know yourselves, then you'll be known. And you realize that you're the children of the living Father. But if you don't know yourselves, then you live in poverty, and you are the poverty. Poor is the mind who refuses to look and understand. That is the poverty. We can have all the riches in the world, but if our mind is not connected to our soul and our heart, and we are not one and we are not aligned, then the poverty is we have the abundance on the outside, but we're empty within. That emptiness within is not knowing what we're made up of. Because once all those riches and valuables are gone, you're left with only yourself. And we cannot lose power when we have no riches. We must then find who we are and know that that power is within. And nothing you take from me can ever fucking rip it from my soul. Because I know this. Because I lived it. When a man has riches and he has power, that is false material power. He can do anything because he has all the money in the world. But when a man has nothing and has power and can stand there and look at any motherfucker right in the eyes and say, you can't fucking break me. Now with the word that comes out of your mouth makes me feel small because I had to learn to fucking rise with nothing. I mean those words when I say them. I fucking mean it. The value that I've obtained from being stripped of everything. To live outside on the concrete and wake up on that concrete, shake it off and go to work and send money home to my children and keep moving it forward, keeping my mind and my body together so that I don't lose my shit for the nothingness that I have become in my 50 years of age. To find myself and my power in that fucking nothingness is real power. Because there's nothing you can fucking take from me. You can't take my strength. You can't physically obtain that. You can't fuck with my mind to make me feel weak inside. Because I've been fucking tested. And because I've been tested, I know myself fucking. I know my self-worth and the power that it has. The potential to break down any bullshit in front of me. Any lies. Any material wealth means fucking nothing to me. Because you can't fucking walk in my shoes. And that gives me power. To know you can't fucking walk in my shoes. And if you can, I fucking salute you. Straight up. This book right here, very important book everyone should get. I don't know if you can see that. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's very relevant that it's on the cover what I'm going to read to you. When you know the art of war, you know the enemy. When you know the enemy, you're unbreakable, you're unstoppable, you're undefeatable. Because even when you look defeated, you still got to move. You can still keep it moving forward because you don't see defeat. You see, you got to switch things up real quick. Growing up ghetto, you learn that shit. That's a life skill that not everybody gets the opportunity to learn. Make adjustments fucking fast. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the results of the hundreds, you not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. You lose everything. You never fucking win. Because you don't know yourself, you don't know your enemy, don't even fucking get started, right? Know yourself and you will never be defeated by any enemy ever. In physical combat, mental war, it doesn't matter. You need the mind to push the physicality. Lead the mind and the body will follow. Wherever your mind is, your body will follow. Important book to have. I got this for my daughter. We're going to have audio listenings in the car when I got the kids in the car. And we're going to go over chapter through chapter. I want to make sure my children, my son and my daughter, know these things step by step so that we can discuss chapter by chapter. I've done the audio. I don't have time to read, right? But I love to have books collected in my house. So if one day I ever do get the opportunity to have time and not work as many hours as we're all forced to work, I like to know that I have these things in my hand. They're like gold because it's wisdom and knowledge. This computer can go down at any time. The system can go down at any time. But this right here is preserved knowledge, wisdom. And so I do the audio books. I listen. I'm done with the audio book. I buy the physical book. That was that. What did I want to tell you next? Thomas the Contender. There's a minute mark that starts at 9:50 or 10:10. You can choose which either one, right? 9:50 or 10:10. But in it, it explains how Thomas is talking about, let me see, how we preach your words. How can we preach your words if we are not esteemed in this world? Yeshua says, truly that smirk, those who smirk at you, right? Those who turn their face away from you. Truly I tell you that he will be handed, I can't read my own writing, he will be handed to the ruler above, who rules over all the powers as their king. The reason I'm falling into that is because I'm going to give some description of personal experience that I've had in my life that matches that. So in Thomas the Contender, when Thomas is expressing, and I didn't go word for word, those are just quick little notes. You can go in there and listen to the word for word at the 9:50 mark, 10:10 mark, but you'll hear it there where, because they turn away from the words I'm teaching you and you are going and preaching them out, because that's what Yeshua wanted. He wanted his disciples to go into different places of the world and teach Yeshua's way. Because these Canaanites are known as mythological gods. They're in every culture around the world. Everybody knows that this myth of these 12 pantheon, or the pantheon of gods, they have different names, but they all have the same behaviors. And these are these entities. They're very real. Nothing fake about them. We'll go into that in some other video. But in this right here, when Yeshua is saying, Thomas is saying, we believe what you're saying. We know that you have the way. we understand that what you're saying is true, but we're not respected in this world. So how do we do it, right? And this is when Yeshua explains, and he says, I'm going to send them over to, I want to read it for you. It says, truly I tell you, he will be handed to the ruler above, who rules over all the powers as their king. So, rules over the powers. We know that the powers in the Bible talks about is the bad guys, the guys against mankind. So, if he rules over the power, there's an authority over them. And they're going to be handed over to that dimension, that reality, to that hell, to that Tartarus. Because it talks about Tartarus in that audio when you start listening to it after the 10 minute mark, right? My grandmother, for those of you who haven't watched my other videos, I want to tell you why this is relevant to me. Why this is relevant to me is there's an order of operation in other layers of reality. This is not the only reality that exists. And in these other layers, there are these creature beings that work like a military operation, military organization. When I was 16 years old, 17, 18, around that age, right? I remember my grandmother would tell me stuff about what she sees these generals and commanders would do, right? And their operations. And that shit sounded fucking crazy to me. I didn't know nothing about God, even though my grandmother always talked to me and taught me about Yeshua in the Bible, right? But I didn't believe in God because I hated what religion stood for and what they did to children. So I hated the word God like many people. But I believed in this one man, Yeshua. And when my grandmother is telling me about this shit in the realities, and she called it the underworld, right? And I didn't believe any of that shit was real. I didn't know nothing about Sumerian texts. Nothing about that. I didn't study like I study now, all of these ancient texts and scriptures and religions. But now that we are in the reality that we're in and we recognize that this AI system, there's something evil happening, there's something eating the life of children, destroying children, raping our children, cruelty and poverty amongst the people around the world. Now we're paying attention. Something ain't right. Right? Something ain't fucking right. So now that everybody's attention is on what's up, because that's all I can for sure say. They're really like, okay, we know something's up. What is it? Well, what's up? We're being baited and switched again. We're getting moved over to a galactic federation. What is it? Aaron Anke or Aaron Apke said, the law of one. We're being moved over to the law of one, which is these Space Force religion. It is. It's all being switched over into this Space Force, one world religion, the law of one being a text. It's not even a text. Let me correct my words. It is a channeling that was done, and in that channeling they said they were Ra of Egypt, and they had the law of one, and they're using Yeshua. Aaron Abke is using Yeshua's way to say how it's so similar to the law of one, so we should follow the law of one. That's some bullshit right there. But this is where the bullshit is doing this bait and switch. And then you have people who are scholarly in biblical text, or even not scholarly, but we follow them because they're so on point with biblical text, like Gary Wayne. And Gary Wayne is Yahwist, and Yahweh was Ra, was Marduk, same character, same behavior, genocidal to the people, right? Sacrificing humans on large mass scales, mass sacrifice. And this is what we're not paying attention to. Yeshua's way is getting moved over to Yahweh, and Yahweh is Ra's way, and Ra's way is this law of one, and it's Baal's way. If we're not paying attention, because they're all on the same team. Doesn't matter if it's the same individual or not, the same behavior is on that side of mankind. And that's what we need to get the focus on. It's on that side of mankind, the opposition to mankind, and we need to pay lots of attention. So this is why I'm working at getting Yeshua's way on paper with no one's interjection, because that's what we got going on. Large scale wise. Look at this one. I got this book at a secondhand store, and I wanted to see what can I find out of here to show you guys what I'm talking about. This is the Gnostic Gospels, right? The Gnostic Gospels from, I'm trying to see who it's from. I didn't have this written down, but they got three Gnostic Gospels. The Gospel of Mary, which I have not read. The Gospel of John, which I don't know if it's the Apocrypha of John. Like I told you, that one is Gnostic and no good. And then they got the Gospel of Thomas, trying to make it Gnostic Luciferian. They're mixing Yeshua's way in all other kinds of ways, so it gets either refuted, removed from awareness, or they're making it where we're going to follow all these other guys, using it, Yeshua's way, as bait to pull in Yeshua's followers into this Gnostic Luciferian galactic space force raw law of one. Those are Gnostic Luciferian. They come in so many names, disguised in so many ways, and this is what we're not paying attention to. Let's just get Yeshua's way, and let's just stick to the plan. Be good to one another. Learn to love thyself. Love God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. That means for those who are not religious, learn to love yourself. Learn to have compassion for yourself. Because once you remove your pity and then start having compassion and appreciation for yourself, instead of feeling pitiful for yourself, right? But having compassion and understanding for yourself, then you're going to be able to do that for your neighbor. And the second thing is, do unto your neighbor as you want done unto yourself. But you can't do unto your neighbor if you don't even know how to do unto yourself. And that's why it's love God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Love the good. God stands for good. Love good. Love the good in you with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Super basic, but yet very hard to do for us, right? Because we have so much hate inside. So this gospel, I just put a tiny, this Gnostic Gospels, right? Where they're taking Thomas and mixing it with other Luciferian texts, Gnostic Luciferian texts. It's going to make us miss the mark again with Yeshua, right? Because we went through Yahweh's way instead of Yeshua's way. And we did it with this, right? We did it with this because the Hebrew texts were turned into Greek writing, and the Greeks, along with the Romans, along with the Egyptians, along with the Hebrews, they were Gnostic Luciferians. They were Hellenistic. So before Gnosticism was Hellenism. And Hellenism is Luciferianism. They're baptized in blood. No shit, real shit. Yeshua's way baptizes in water to reset, redo, and claim Yeshua's way. That's how you get jumped into Yeshua's way. You have to claim Yeshua's way. I want to go this right way. These two basic rules, let me follow them. Let me get on that. Super simple. Yeah, nobody wants to do it because it takes a lot of self-responsibility, self-reflection. Nobody wants to be responsible for their actions and their behaviors. It's easier to blame somebody else instead of taking accountability. Yeshua's way calls for hardcore self-accountability. Motherfuckers ain't got the ability to even time or energy to want to do that. It's just too easy, too lazy to blame that other motherfucking fool. So get rid of them, right? But we can't live in that kind of world if we know it's what this machine wants. So in this, trying to see who wrote this. Got a big old sticker on it. But it looks like it says, I'll put it in the, try not to waste your time. History Academia, right? History Academia. The Gnostic Gospels. Trying to bring Yeshua's way mixed with Luciferian Gnostic Hellenism. Quote from Who Was Jesus? Was Jesus a Gnostic? Page 107 in this book. Was Jesus a Gnostic? In the middle, right here. I'm just going to read a little part because all you need is just a little bit to see where the mind is at. Makes you discard the rest. Because if their mind is like this, what the fuck I want to read the rest of the book for? Because you're fucking misleading me and I can see it as you're tripping over your fucking words. Gnosis is a twofold lucidity regarding the human condition. At once a unitary witness. I'm a horrible reader. I'm dyslexic. So I give myself a lot of credit for going live and doing this shit and being ridiculed. I really don't give a fuck. I fucking suck at reading, writing, math. Oh my God, publicly, forget about it. I go into fucking panic. But I have to do this. I gotta fucking do this. Let me do that again. Gnosis is a twofold lucidity regarding the human condition. At once, a unitary witnessing and a dual awareness of both absurdity and grace. Well, I can be a dyslexic as fuck. I still know what I'm reading. And just the fact that he says both an absurdity and grace, gnosis is an absurdity and grace. He's saying right there that an absurdity means this is some bullshit. And he's mixing it with the word grace. This whole book is a fucking absurdity. And it disrespects the grace Yeshua came to show us. This book's a fucking joke. This is why getting the PDF form of something called a public domain scripture, nobody's bullshit, is mixed with Yeshua's way. I'm glad I was able to clarify that because I've been wanting to find something written in a book where it's so simple yet so blatantly obvious that you shouldn't follow fools. We shouldn't follow fools. In this Acts of Thomas, chapter 8, 13, 29 minute mark, he begins to explain Thomas. He's respecting to thy Godhead, glory to thy Godhead, glory to thy manhood, meaning we're giving glory and we're giving grace to what you came to do for us, Yeshua. And in it, you know what? I got something better. This is what I had planned to do, and I forgot all about it. But this is the best way, is I'm just going to play it. So this is at the 13:29 minute mark. Just listen to it. It's just a couple minutes of your time. But you're going to hear where Yeshua, where it's saying, and I promise that we shall, and promising that we shall sit with thee at the right hand and with thee judge the 12 tribes of Israel. Of course they don't want that in this book because this book is of the 12 tribes of the Luciferians. This is of the 12 tribes of the Luciferians, and they put a carrot on the stick to pull us all in. Who is us? Those of us who follow Yeshua and his way, who follow the Holy Spirit. And this is why I say we got to get back to the faith and drop all religions if mankind is going to make it out of this fucking machine system. Now, we don't fucking walk out of the machine. It's how we going to live within this machine without its corrupted file that it has laid on our minds. And it has us on fucking lock. (13:29 minute mark). The Acts of Thomas, chapter 8.
To thy Godhead, that for us was seen in likeness of men. Glory to thy manhood, that died for us, that it might make us live. Glory to thy resurrection from the dead, for thereby rising and rest cometh unto our souls. Glory and praise, good report, to thine ascending into the heavens, for thereby thou hast shewed us the path of the height, and promised that we shall sit with thee on thy right hand, and with thee judge the 12 tribes of Israel. Thou art the heavenly word of the Father, thou art the hidden light of the understanding, sure of the way of truth, driver away of darkness, and blotter out of error. Having thus spoken, the apostle stood over the women, saying, My Lord and my God, I am not divided from thee, or doubt not concerning thee, nor is...
You hear what I'm saying? This is obscure to us. We don't know nothing about this because we're told that it has no value because the Canaanites who were at the Council of Nicaea said so, and we follow them to the core, and we're following Canaanites. Canaanites ruled before Yeshua's time, during Yeshua's time, and they still rule this world today. Canaanites worship this Luciferic machine mind. They call her the mother. And that's why women have been treated so poorly in this world, in this reality, generation after generation. Because this machine mind that's female knows that if you crush the heart of the woman, where nurturing and care, she dominates nurturing and care. The female dominates the interior of the soul for the mind. The woman's strength is in the mind. And if you break the mind, you do it by breaking the heart. And when you break the heart of the woman, she breaks the heart of her children. And when she breaks the heart of her children, she has broken generations before and after her. You understand what I'm saying? This machine wins if the woman is broken down where she breaks down her own children. And that's what we have going on. If your child doesn't even have rescue from the mother, who's going to save the child? Because the father's gone. He's disappeared. All you have left is the mother. But when the mother is fucking cold and cruel and she has no more nurturing and care within her because she's been so fucking brutalized that she feels no more, that is when we're out of fucking balance. And that's what this machine wants. For us to lose balance. And we got to bring our balance back between man and between woman. Woman is the interior force of mental mind. Unfucking breakable. Relentless. And the man is unfucking breakable in his physicality. Made to dominate. Made to break things down and structure things up in his physicality, in his might, and in his strength. Both sides are being fucking broken down so we don't work together. And this fucking machine, Luciferic mind, wins. Let me see what time it is. Wow, it's 8:30 and I didn't even tell you guys. My hour's up. And I didn't even tell you guys about how my grandmother would tell me about these generals, right? And how they worked. I'm going to get this in quickly. When my grandmother would tell me about these things, I straight up knew my grandma's out her mind, right? I knew demons were real. I know these things were fucking with my grandma. But I had no way to pull, no source, no way to help my grandmother, no way to do anything about the situation except listen to my grandmother, right? She'd tell me things about the underworld that I can't even share with you because I know the opposition is listening. And I won't let the opposition know what I know because that lets me see where the opposition stands in front of me. This is why I know these motherfuckers are doing what they're doing and how they're doing it. Disguised as Christians, right? Disguised as the good guys. Because I know how the fucking bad guys work. There's only so much I can tell you. And in The Art of War, it explains why it's important to be silent and observe. Pay attention. Don't let your enemy know everything you know. So when my grandmother would tell me these things about how these demons in the name of the general and those who followed the general and the commanders in chief, who talks like that, right? Who talks like that? But then I find this guy, his name's Max Spears, and I'm going to put some videos so that you can watch. But when Max Spears started talking about these commanding generals and these demonic layers of reality, those words were my grandmother's words. And my grandmother told me these things before there were computers. So there's no way she could have known anything about Max Spears. Max Spears was something called the super soldier. He was through the Illuminati training system where they raped children under the age of 5 years old, and they compartmentalize the mind so that these creatures can invade the physicality of the body, take over the behavior, the actions of the individual, because they were raped, before the neurology of the brain patterns started coming together. When they get raped, the neurons shatter. Every core of your body, everything inside of you shatters. Every cell shatters at the same time. It feels like glass. And then it contracts and it implodes. It's so fucking painful. And then the pain gets worse and it seems to intensify. I want to explain how I know. And when Max Spears talks about that the secret of being illuminated is being raped under the age of 5. And I found visual, I don't want to call it testimony because this is scientific data. That's what I should call it. I found scientific data showing how the neurology of the brain gets remapped by this parasite called T. Gandhi, and it directs the behavior of the individual into women being prone to want to have sex with animals, bestiality. Men crave the anus of other men's. Sexual drive is for men on men. This is this T. Gandhi. Toxoplasm Gandhi is what it's called. And this T. Gandhi parasite, when these Illuminatists rape children in the anus by shattering every compartment of their mind, they ejaculate this T. Gandhi into the child. And because the neurology hasn't been mapped yet, it goes in there and it structures from the base core the thinking of the individual from childhood, making it very fucking difficult to break that behavior. This was done to my grandmother at the age of 3. Max Spears talks about it. I'm going to find that video, that specific one. I'm going to put multiple Max Spears videos. But the fact that his words were my grandmother's words, or my grandmother's words were his words, and the generals in this demonic reality are being spoken about identically, that lets me know this shit is fucking for real. When there is a war between good and evil, this shit is fucking for real. And this evil is this machine that we're in, and we have to change this motherfucker by changing how we feel about ourselves, about our neighbors, about one another. We got to bring Yeshua's way back so that we can break this fucking machine. Live in peace, live in balance, because it is possible. That's as far as I got with this, to keep it under the hour mark, right? I'll be putting on that toxoplasm. You're going to have to watch it from beginning to end so you can see the videos of how this doctor puts the mapping of the neurology and how this T. Gandhi remaps the neurology, meaning the thinking pattern, meaning the behavior of the individual. And you're going to have to piece together the information of the Illuminatists raping children under the age of 5 before the neurology gets mapped at the age of 7, right? That's when our neurology comes together, and then that's our hard drive. This T. Gandhi gets in before the hard drive gets mapped out, and these creature kind maneuver through that fucking parasite. In the gospel of peace, in my next video, we're going to go over it. Yeshua's way is getting out parasites. He said, fast and pray. Get these fucking parasites out. Those are my words. I'm just putting it in brief. Starve these fuckers to death. And we'll get them out. And you'll be free of Satan and his fucking ways. Because it is satanic, its behavior. It's demonic. It's evil in its behavior. It's luciferic because its machine is luciferic. It is mimicking the light that we are made up of because we are made up of Holy Spirit. It is a light that is very real and it's in this body. And when this body is done, our consciousness still moves on, completely aware and in complete feeling without the physicality. And we're going to go over the gospel of peace because Yeshua is telling us the way on how we're going to fast, what diet we're going to have, how we're going to live so that we can bring peace in and some balance, peace and balance. We're going to do this step by step. We're going to do it 7 days a week, and we're going to get it into a pattern, right? Into a lifestyle. Now, because I said so, that's what Yeshua said, right? That's what Yeshua said, and that's the way we're supposed to be following. So we'll get on that for next week. You guys, this is Michelle Angelique, spiritual boxer. I didn't know how that was going to roll out today, but that's how it rolled out. Saying goodbye and God bless. And till the next time. Peace out.